It's the afternoon edition on Victoria's News Authority, CFAX 1070.
Welcome to the afternoon edition on CFAX 1070. Dave Dickson, your host of the program for the next 2 hours. We've got a great show lined up. We'll be speaking to Dr. Richard Carpiano and Jennifer Lloyd from the University of British Columbia. They've recently concluded a study looking into economic diversity and how that can influence a child's early development based on their neighborhood types. We're going to be talking with them after the 2:30 news. Also, computer talk. We're going to get it down to basics for any of you out there that have computer questions. Louise Latremole will be our guest. She's the author of 3 books on computers. And we'll be talking with Louise after the 2 o'clock news, so we welcome your calls as always then. And also we'll be joined on the phone from Winnipeg, from the Green Party of Canada. She's the international trade critic, Jacqueline Romano. We're going to be talking about this upcoming, the 5th annual North American Leaders Summit in Guadalajara, Mexico, and some concerns that the Green Party is raising on this conference. But first off, we're joined on the phone from New Jersey. We're going to be talking about attention deficit and hyperactive disorder and a new workbook that my guest has recently put out, ADHD Success. And pleasure to have her on the line, as I mentioned, from New Jersey, Kerin Bellak Adams. Kerin, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
It's nice to talk to you. And
nice to talk to you, too.
Yeah, no, let's talk about ADHD. It's an issue that you seem to hear more and more young people are getting, I guess, diagnosed with. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, it is a fair assessment. There's more awareness, and there's of ADD now, of course, and there seems to be more of it. So it's a combination of 2 things. Now,
what got you into this field? Why did you become an expert in ADHD?
Well, my father was a pioneer, Dr. Leopold Bellak, in adult ADD, and I started reading one of his books on it, and I became mesmerized by the whole disorder, and that led to me going to school to learn how to coach people with attention deficit disorder, and then that led to lecturing and coming out with this new workbook that's a one-of-a-kind book that helps kids feel better about themselves even though they do have the disorder.
Do you have an idea on how many youth and youngsters across North America may be affected by ADHD?
Statistics say approximately 10% now. And there's more than that because a lot of people who are in their adult life have the disability, or the disorder rather, and and they haven't been diagnosed. So that's that's the number that the Department of Statistics prints out. But there's probably a higher record because, as I said, the older people in their 50s and 60s may have had it their whole lives and may not have been diagnosed. So those go unrecorded, and then there are people that know they have something not right, and they won't tell their employers about it, so it doesn't get written up as another statistic. So
ADHD, it's not something you grow out of as you get older. It sticks with you for life unless you manage it properly?
Absolutely. It's a biological disorder like many other things like bipolar, or otherwise known as manic depression, or autism. And it's a chemistry problem in the brain, an imbalance, if you will, which can be remedied fairly easily with the right medication, which we're happy to report, unlike with autism or other disorders.
Now, you mentioned what types of medication? Is it Ritalin? Because you always hear about that one. A lot of people hear about some of the negative side effects of that. Are there other options too?
Yeah, Ritalin is the oldest, and it was supposed to be taken off the market in the 60s, but for some reason it wasn't, because the long-term effects of Ritalin can be damaging. And most of the other medications, like Ritalin, come under the title of stimulants, and they stimulate the nerve cells in the brain to work better and transmit messages from one to the other. So these stimulants are like Band-Aids. They're not a cure-all, David, but they are make the message goings back and forth much easier and better, and it helps people to focus better, whether they have the hyperactivity part or they just have the focusing part without the hyper part to it.
So you would think, being if someone had the hyper ADD, ADHD, I should say, that a stimulant would not be beneficial, but it triggers the brain into, I guess, working better.
Exactly. Yes, it sounds fun. It's a play on words, isn't it? I hadn't even thought of that, but yes, that's exactly how it works. Now,
along with the medication that people can access through their practitioner, writing a workbook. Now, what is kind of the gist of the workbook, and why did you write it?
I wrote a workbook because I was a teacher to children with ADD, and I had such magnificent success with the kids that I helped in school that prompted me to write this workbook to talk about the stories, but even more importantly, I realized that there was no hands-on workbook written yet for kids to actually work in. And this workbook actually is all about positive reinforcement, and it has a number of diary pages in it. It's called the ADHD Success Solutions to Boosting Self-Esteem, the Diary Method, ages 7 to 17. And the diary pages are 52 pages that are producible, that have inquisitive prompts on there that help children to recognize, number one, what they do right already, which they weren't aware of, and other people don't make note of it, and also to set behavioral goals for them at the same time. And this book really has a lot to do with kids' social skills, writing skills, organizational skills, and time management. So it really is an umbrella for many facets of ADD challenges, which are what I had just mentioned. So it kills a couple of birds with one stone, and of course there's much more in there. This book is being used by schools also now because there's school home accountability sheets that the teachers will fill out per child online and then send that over to the parent, so the parent and the teacher are on the same page, so to speak, and know exactly what's going on with their child during the periods where the parent and the teacher don't get together to discuss the student.
So a lot of times, students that are suffering from ADHD, they probably don't have a lot of resources in their school system, and the teachers don't have enough resources to help work with these kids.
Well, here over in the States, it's very different, unlike in other countries I found from doing other radio shows, David. The public schools do have accommodations if the child meets certain requirements. And there are a lot of private schools now that are set up for children and teenagers who have learning disabilities, specifically for kids who have trouble focusing or understanding what they're hearing and things of that nature. And those private schools will have very small classrooms, and those private schools will spoon-feed material according to how that child or teenager can integrate information most easily. And so that's something marvelous that goes on here. And then we have attention deficit disorder behavioral clinic, too, where kids can be diagnosed very easily and be given the diagnosis that they need to take back to the school, whether it's a public school, well, only a public school, because the private schools, they know already what this public school needs in order for the child or the teenager to get the extra that they need in terms of extra time on tests and things of nature.
So ADHD would be considered a learning disability?
ADD comes with learning disabilities very often.
Because they just can't focus.
It's not just a matter of focusing. It's usually a matter of, since the brain isn't working 100%, it also means that they might have language problems, visual focusing issues, and things of that nature. So ADD usually comes with some type of learning disability, but of course, just like being deaf, you can't see this on someone, and no one's going to wear it on their lapel that they have ADD. So it's a rather challenging